Hey y'all. So thank you, Tony, for hosting. Thank you all for coming. This is a fun way to spend a Monday night. And since y'all were just talking about Mars, I didn't plan to read from Liberating the Astronauts, but I'm going to. And I don't know if this is going to show up backwards or not, but this is Liberating the Astronauts. Oh, it's showing up the right way, right? So this is from Aqueduct Press. This actually won the 2018 Elgin Award from the Science Fiction and Fantasy Poetry Association. They are a good group of poets, and I found out like on Twitter that I had won that award. So this poem has an epigraph. Researchers ask, will astronauts be able to withstand a future trip to Mars? Withstanding Mars. Everything, even the fire, must breathe, must control the mission from planet to comet, asteroid to star. What are we but full of questions, period. Healing any opening, oozing or painless or benign or small, takes light years, I'm told by the experts in magazines and telepathy and in cyberspace. Maybe they can travel that way. Through the arcade, they need no more than a token, a slice, and some slick wrist-to-finger action. Research is simply that, reseeking, refinding, rediscovering what we all forgot. Right here in our hands, we hold it at times darkly weightless and unburdensome, only a quick blink away.
Hey!
Thank you. So that is, again, Liberating the Astronauts. And now I'm going to read some from my new collection that came out December 31st of last year. This is called What We Do to Make Us Whole. I'll show you the cover because people love the cover. So that's the cover. Ooh. And if you do see me in person, I encourage you to come on over and feel the cover, because the most feedback I get is how the cover feels great. People like rubbing books, I guess. I don't know. So it's the most feedback I've gotten. So if you see me in person, come on over. I won't think it's weird for you to say, hey, can I feel your book? This book is split into 4 parts. The first part is called Approaching. And here's a poem from that. Supposedly, all that time under anxiety to plan exactly how an uncontrolled future will go. It doesn't exist. The only existence is now, and now, right now, is not going as planned. The lack of plan B also a hindrance. All that time of only one plan, a future impossible any other way, but now it is another way. And those little jolts inside make painfully clear, this is not the way it was supposed to go. So the second, this book is, I should have said, this book is about grief and gratitude. So it's not all fun stuff, but the second part is called The Reckoning. So that should give you a clue as to what you're getting yourself into. And here is a poem from that called, it's called Climbing. Old bodies lie. Obstacles left over, signs of failure. The mountain wins because it doesn't need. Oxygen scarce, still at night, safer when the cold grows colder in a frozen cold. Night sight blackened, light flashlight lit up ahead. Close, an hour, away, each step, pulled ropes, cape clung, belt band, ripped coat hungry. Eyes up, 4 days, eyes up. The next section of the book is always look up, and that's been my mantra for the past couple of years. Sometimes you look up and you just see the most wonderful, amazing things that you've seen the sky before, but it's not always the same sky. It's a different sky every time. So always look up. 6 weeks of meteor showers. A memory of you around small stars, tilted planets. Heavenly bodies burned out, not broken. Gone by the time we get there, where they used to be, back then, when they were beautiful.
Nice, very nice.
Thank you. And I'll read this one. Symbiosis. You want the kind of friendship Neil and Jack had, the black and white kind, the kindness of driving 3,000 miles and back, hopped up on adrenaline and mellowed out by booze. You want the hands on hips, arms around shoulders camaraderie. Take me as we are, no time to think otherwise, gotta go, gotta move, gotta run. Top down, hands up, for as long as life exists.
Okay.
$1 million question, because I don't have $1 million to give away and we're not in person, so I couldn't do it anyway. Neil and Jack, anybody know who they are?
Don't think so.
Acid and Kerouac.
There you go. Thank you, Bruce. Yeah. Those are the beats. So if you've ever read On the Road or want to read On the Road, you're going to read all about Neil and Jack. And the fourth and final part of the book is called Waking Under the Bodhisattva. And this is the second to last poem in the collection. It's untitled. Not enough room for darkness with all this light coming in. Even in a transitory state, not weak, not sleep, knowing the one man who ever loved me disappeared by the sea. The moment glistens. Weightless bliss inside meets rays from without. This is the answer to what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force. No destruction, no friction, no ruin. It's all pressure, upholding life, creating love, making heaven breathable on earth. Brightness rockets up at the seam, a geyser glowing, white mist, reflect, emanate, radiate, up, out, around, and always through. There is no endpoint. There's only forward, so go.
Wow.
So I'm going to read a few new ones. Those of you who have never heard me read before, they're all new, but if you have heard me read, these are newer than new. And it's funny, like when I finish a collection, I'm like, oh, now what do I do? And so I've been writing something new. This is called What We Dreamt in the Fire. 1. Time traveled to the past through these still hot ashes, tethered to a place and time, now unrecognizable. History, you remembered by you, as shovels sift through. 2. Under blankets, sweat. The waking abrupt. Dried bouquets hung upside down from a nail in the attic stairway. 3. One day there was a disappearance. Then there was a year. Then there was a sickness. Then the half the cortisol had packed on dissipated, a slow relief. 4. Bujade. Something familiar happens, but it seems new. 5. Out on the beach, the line between apparent in the slope. Sand from each length of shore keeps in glass ornaments. The plastic ones melted together, redefining geography. Edges slowly collided. The line between no longer clear. The slope flattens. 6. Loss is loss. 7. When they raked through coals, temperatures rose. They're supposed to soften and cave. They didn't hear, not this time, not the time before. 8. A bed is not a bed when no one sleeps in it. It's a placeholder. It's a pause. 9. We'd planned to travel together, secluded cabins, bulky sweaters, quick drives built into the grid. We'd planned to move in, rent out, give up this one life for another. We'd planned to be old. No, that's a lie. That wasn't a we. That wasn't a plan. 10. To want something, to really want, to intentionally build anew, to dig in, to stay. 11. When they preach safety in numbers, they mean more than 2. 2 is the least safe. 12. We shucked. Husks, straw, and silk strewn themselves across the dirt. A barn raised will be a barn raised. A barn raised becomes roadside nostalgia. We walked the property line, repairing fences and restringing wire. Cold mornings didn't mean anything. Work requires getting done. So we did because we had to. Bundled in winter coats, thick socks, knitted hats, wool gloves. We piled the fallen into rows over uneven land. The sky shifted. We seeded, and nothing grew. So the beginning of that, the part 1 of that, I should have said this before, I kind of stole it. Lisa Genova has a book called Remember, and it's about how your brain works. And if you're ever worried that you have Alzheimer's, or if Alzheimer's runs in your family, read that book. And it made, like, even the introduction makes you feel a lot better about yourself, because most of the time when we think we are forgetful, it's just we never made a memory because we're not paying attention. And so I stole some of the words from her book in that first part of that poem. And I think I have 2 more. Off ramp. This wasn't the exit I wanted. This a scattered merge away from where everyone else is headed. This one abrupt. This one crept up, appeared, no sign, unnumbered, not on the map. It lingered then, wouldn't take, kept appearing, couldn't shake off potential of miles ahead, couldn't handle a rest to the side. The deciding seems choiceless, like a must. All routes seem to end in collision. Distracted by a voice and a promise now insincere, terms decided on cruise control to pass by on ramps and overpasses, but to an advantage. Now we've gone too far. There's no going back. And this is called Smoke. The boys who smoked used Zippo lighters. We bought them, engraved special, so they would know we loved them. That one dusk, I bought a pack at the corner gas station. The cashier, a little woman still taller than me, said with a sigh that I was so pretty and too young. And I said they weren't for me, but for him at home. And we locked in a stare for a moment, trying to understand something. The boys put out fires. The boys prayed for fires. The boys put out the fires they prayed for. They prayed for heat and sparks so they could drop what they were doing, so they could drive fast, flash their lights, throw on heavy gear, and jump into flames. Our cars smelled like smoke, stale and old, seats stained, indented, all grime. They had stains on their hands. We held them, exchanged them among us, shared secrets, compared what we'd found. That one late night, the one who was unattainable, who would never notice, could never notice. Why would he ever notice? Stood in front of me on his basement stairs, where he brought me to show me something unexpected and raw. And then the next day, gone. Then the next year, they were all gone. Then a passing by occurred here and there at counters and from distances far enough to be unsure. Then 2 decades later, when driving to pay a bill far from cigarettes, ash, and cigars, the street becomes familiar. The new car passes that old house. Off guard, the smoke floods back, but not the love. That never was. Thank you for listening.
Wow. Christina Rao. Absolutely.